So when we really want to understand how to address the root of an issue, be it health or behavior, it's really important to recognize that there is a very, very deep-rooted understanding that the animals have about how they work with their young, how they train them, how they keep themselves healthy, how deeply connected they are with nature to be able to support them and also to be able to help them heal. Hello and welcome to Ask the Animal Healer podcast with Dr. Allecia Maine. I am your host, Dr. Allecia Maine. And what I wanted to focus on in this podcast, what I wanted to create, was some really powerful conversations and awarenesses that I learned from the animal kingdom about the unified energy field and healing through the unified energy field in the simplicity of the way that the animals understand healing, as well as talking to some really amazing animal parents who are also thought leaders and experts and high-level entrepreneurs in their fields about their learnings and their awarenesses and the wisdom and the insights that their animals have shared with them. And so this podcast is really a beautiful blend of powerful conversation that is heartfelt and really cuts to the core of my guests' journey on their path in life, on their path in their career, and also their deep soul connections with their animals. And then be able to share with you how the animals perceive healing from the unified energy field. So as humans, we get to see how this healing was actually designed to work at the speed of light. And the animals have always known the simple natural science. So we'll delve into topics on behavior and struggles with health and emotional issues and relationship issues. And we'll look at it from the perspective that I take of Wu Wei, which is an ancient Chinese philosophy that is part of the Tao. And the Tao is really the unified energy field of all life. Everything is interconnected in it. Nothing is separate from it. It contains everything. And it's an interesting perspective to follow because it's got thousands and thousands of years of science behind it, of natural science studying this unified energy field. And so I'll take you on a little bit of a journey right now with me of how I got started. And as you listen, just see what resonates with you. This is not a podcast of trying to hook you into anything or get you to think or believe anything whatsoever. This is simply a podcast of sharing the wisdom and the truth of my guests as they've walked themselves along their journey. And then how their animals really showed up in profound ways to share with them deeper insights and wisdoms. Now, the reason why I go back to the Tao is because I've been practicing Qigong. I've been practicing Wu Ming Qigong for the last 32 years. And that ancient self-healing energy practice has had such a profound effect on my understanding of healing, on my ability and the skills that I learned to remember to communicate directly with animals. And the entire system was so fascinating to me because when you really start to dive deep into the Tao, you really start to understand that the Taoist monks that lived in the forests, they studied the animals, they studied nature, they studied the animal kingdom to bring forth the ancient healing wisdom of Chinese medicine and of Qigong and of Tai Chi. So when we really want to understand how to address the root of an issue, be it health or behavior, it's really important to recognize that there is a very, very deep rooted understanding that the animals have about how they work with their young, how they train them, how they keep themselves healthy, how deeply connected they are with nature to be able to support them and also to be able to help them heal. So, my journey started when I was about 5 years old and wanted to become a veterinarian. And that path was cut short because I was really not adept at math and science the way it's taught. But I always held a dream that I would be able to help animals heal. And so, even though it didn't work out for me to go to veterinary school, when I graduated college, I became a fitness trainer. And then that path led me to working with a client who became my spiritual mom. And she taught me about meditation. She taught me about macrobiotic cooking. She also taught me about chiropractic care and gave me a gift of acupuncture one Christmas. While I wasn't crazy about needles, I did go down to Chinatown and I had my first acupuncture session, and something very profound happened. My mind went into stillness. And it would take me a long time to realize that I could still my mind anytime I wanted to. But that acupuncture session led me to a door that I chose to walk through, that I had no idea what was on the other side. And even though I was scared, I walked through the door. And that door led me to understanding energy on a very deep and profound level. And it led me to taking my first courses in animal communication. And it led me to being able to hear the animals on a much deeper level and realize the enlightened masters that they already are. And I took some bodywork classes for animals. And after a little while, I started hearing the animals share with me how they wanted me to work with them through communication and through bodywork. And so together, we developed the in-sync body assessment and foster release technique so that if an animal was having behavior issues or health issues or even relationship issues or they had suffered emotional trauma, they showed me a way to help them release trauma, to realign their energy, to allow their structure to realign itself. And I just continued studying with them. And so there's been this profound body of work that's led to me doing my PhD with 27 formerly wild horses in a groundbreaking study where I never physically touched them. I worked with them via Zoom. Ever wished you could just ask your pet what they need? With Can You Hear Me Now, an introduction to animal communication, you can do just that. Join me, Dr. Allecia Maine, as I guide you step by step to understand and speak the language of your beloved animals. Transform your relationship today. Click the link in the notes below on AlleciaMaine.com, and we will see you soon and get you communicating with your animals with ease in their natural language to share what they understand about their bodies, about how much structural alignment affects behavior and affects health because it affects chi flow. And that has allowed me to understand how to assist them and also to teach their humans how to assist them in a very, very simple way, using their own two hands to be able to bring about better energy flows in the body, to boost the immune system, to relax the diaphragm, and to help calm and balance their nervous systems with very, very little effort or energy. And so, what started out as what I perceived as a dream crushed, not being able to be a veterinarian, turned into a study on energy medicine and consciousness with animals. Who are they? What are they about? Well, when I started communicating with animals over 28 years ago, a lot of people, thought that was weird. It was like, oh my God, this is so woo woo. This is so out there. But eventually, through studying Qigong, I realized it's not woo woo. It's not out there. It's wu wei. It's effortless action. It's following the flow of nature. It is listening more than you speak. It is a deep, deep level of really recognizing that these beautiful, adorable, amazing four-legged beings, winged ones, creepy crawlers, slithering ones, that grace our lives are actually enlightened masters here to help us remember proper codes of conduct and behavior to live on Mother Earth in harmony and communion with all life, so that we really get to understand that we are truly co-creating heaven on Mother Earth together. Now, this journey has been really, really interesting because it started just simply with Qigong and noticing things in my own animals. And then that led to animal communication. So I started working professionally with other people's animals, getting to the root of what was happening with their behavior issues or their health issues. And that led to the animals sharing with me things that they wanted their humans to know, because they could see their humans struggling. They could see where their humans were blocking themselves energetically. And be that physically, emotionally, psychologically, or spiritually, it really started opening up my own consciousness to recognizing that so much of what we've been told about the animal kingdom, and that humans are superior, and animals know so much less than we do, I started to realize this wasn't true. And so a lot of my work doesn't come from studying from books or from other people. It comes from dialoguing directly with the animals, sharing what they know about their health, about their bodies, about their circumstances, about their soul contracts with their humans, and the wisdom that they're here to share with all of us. Because you haven't noticed, there's a whole lot going on this planet right now. And a lot of it is happening because humanity has lost our way from following the simple codes of conduct and behavior that were laid out to the animal kingdom. And in a lot of Native American, indigenous stories and creation stories, it is said that in the beginning, the Creator did not speak directly with the humans. The Creator spoke directly with the animals and gave the animals the instructions for the codes of conduct and behavior to follow and to carry out on Mother Earth, so that we would live in a balanced and harmonious way, and there would always be abundance for all of life. So during this podcast, what is going to take place is some really profound and beautiful sharings, some really vulnerable conversations about what it really is to be a human, and not just to be a human, but what it is to be a humane human, and how our animals actually influence that in us. I always find it interesting. I have clients that will come to me and, bring me their animals that are having behavior issues or health issues, and they will put their animal before their own self and their own needs. And it's always fascinating because the animals are very clear about what they need and what's taking place with them, but they always want to be able to help and support their humans. And there's some pretty amazing humans to share with you on this podcast, people that are doing incredible things in this world. And I'm always fascinated by how people's journeys are affected or influenced by the animals that they share their lives with. And that's what I want to share with you in this podcast. I have worked with thousands of animals around the world. Because of my Qigong training, it has allowed me to dive deeper into understanding the unified energy field and to start reconnecting the ancient original science with where we are today in the modern world. There's been a break from tens and tens and tens and thousands of years of natural medicine to what we call medicine today through the Rockefeller medicine system. And so that system, while it is wonderful for emergency medicine, that system did a really great job of separating us from remembering a couple things about the animal kingdom. And so one of those major things is that all animals, including humans, are totally telepathic in nature. We all are able to communicate telepathically. Like, I don't know if you've ever had an experience where you were thinking about somebody. And it could have been somebody you haven't even spoken to in years. Like 5 minutes later, there they are calling you on the phone. So how do we explain that? Like, science will talk about it from a quantum physics perspective. And ultimately, my awareness, I'll talk a lot about my awarenesses because there's a lot of things that I am shown directly from the animal kingdom and from nature that I've never read in a textbook. I have no way of knowing that except it was a direct download of information from the source of all life. And I feel from hanging out with animals for the last 30 years and practicing Qigong, I feel very, very aligned and in right relationship with the animal kingdom and with the true divine plan. So that is a place I am going to continuously encourage my guests to share with you. How did they get into alignment with their divine plan? How did they get into alignment with recognizing that their animals really are truly enlightened beings that have shared with them some really powerful and profoundly interconnected information that exists for all of life, for all species, for all elements, for all, plants and trees and water and air and sky, and everything is connected in this unified field. And that is the biggest message that the animals have shared with me as I've spent time with them, helping support them, helping release tension in their body, talking with them about what they understand about their situation, their life, their humans. And so each episode, I want to share with you the truth and the wisdom of the animal kingdom, because the further that we have gotten away from that, the more disconnected we have become from ourselves, from our planet, from our source creation. And I know that, a lot of us are aware of artificial intelligence and virtual realities. And since my time of being brought back into connection and right relationship with the animal kingdom and with nature and listening to their truth and wisdom, it's become really, really evident to me that why we are experiencing so much chaos in our world, so much disruption, so much destruction, is because of that disconnection. And I know in my life and a lot of my clients and a lot of my students' lives, that reconnection to understanding our animals at their essence level has brought so many of them back to their own essence level. And their lives are so different because of it. Their lives are so much richer. Their relationships with their animals, with other people, it's just so much deeper once they have listened to and walked on the path that their animals are reminding them is the deepest level of the truth of who they are. We were not, we live in a sacred hoop and in a sacred web of all life. Man is the only species that has been disconnecting ourselves from that web of life. And then we wonder, with all the technology that we're following and how quickly things are changing, and with how many of us are up in our heads rather than in our bodies due to different types of traumas, different types of poisons in the air, in our bodies, in our foods, in our clothes, in our makeup. The animals remember the truth. And so I wanted to use this platform literally as a vehicle that with each episode, I don't want to preach to you, I don't want to be up on this pulpit telling you what you should do, what you should be thinking. I want you to hear from other people who you might respect and might admire and might just listen to and go, wow, I have had that kind of experience. And what I started to realize too, in wanting to bring this podcast forward and showcasing who my clients are and how they came upon their path of connecting with their animals and listening to their wisdom, I really wanted to find a way to help us reconnect every single week with that innate wisdom and that energy field of communion with all life. And I know how much disconnection there is going on. I can see it, I can feel it, I'm observing it all the time. But somehow, when I connect in with my guests, we're able, with the support of the animal kingdom, to open back up that space that literally feels like heaven on Mother Earth. And some of my clients try to get there through meditation. Some of them do. But I find that most of them resonate with that energy most deeply when they're hanging out with their animals, because they're here to remind us of what that feeling, what that consciousness of heaven on Mother Earth is really about. And so we'll be talking on all different kinds of topics. We'll be talking about health issues, behavior issues, really daunting circumstances, that people have traveled through, and how, with the love of their furry family members, they've somehow gleaned some wisdom that helped them through those times and gave them a different perspective on how to move forward. So any animal lover is welcome to this podcast and to listening to it, because whether you have an animal now, whether you've lost an animal in the past, where you've lost an animal in the present, whether you're, no matter what species you're working with, whether you have a dog or a cat or a horse or goats or bunnies or birds or turtles or snakes. And, also too, we're going to dive into times when people have experienced the wild animals as well and the effect that they've had on their life. I think we all know, and I think we all can agree that there's something about being in the presence of the animals that shifts us. And it's not always a cognitive, conscious understanding. It's like something shifts at the essence level in our souls that can never go back again. And so I want this podcast to also stand as a platform to help us remember what we knew as children, because so many of us were so connected with our animals. And back then, too, we knew they could talk before somebody told us that's not true. So this is a really beautiful space of coming together to really remember the sacred. The conversations that I have with my guests, they're not scripted. They're raw, real, vulnerable conversations that allow us to let go of any inauthenticity, any masks that we might be wearing, any places where we didn't feel safe, that we can walk together. We can hold hands in that space, and we can hold paws or hooves or tails with our animals and really uncover more of the humaneness that our animals have really been sharing with us. Because there's so much taking place now on the planet. There's so much chaos. It's really, really important to remember the truth of who we are. As I study energy fields with animals, and as I learn how far out those energy fields actually travel in my science and my research, doing distance body alignment work and communication work with these beautiful beings, it really brings so many things full circle. Like, I'm not against the modern science of, proving things or validating things. And, Rockefeller medicine brought with it certain ways in which you make science, quote unquote, valid. And when I was doing my research, it was really directed by the animals. They shared with me that they wanted me to do my PhD research, a herd of horses in Eckhart, Colorado, that my friend George Bronis is the founder of a sanctuary and a rehab ranch out there. The herd really brought forth to me, we want you to do your PhD. And I kind of laughed. I was like, you know how good I am in science and math. But they laid it all out for me. And this is a whole nother part as we delve into Ask the Animal Healer. We're not just talking about understanding health from a Western model. We're understanding health from an energy model. And we're understanding their emotions from a communication model and a consciousness model that was always the ancient wisdom. I mean, how do you think, the shamans learned directly from the animals? The Taoist monks learned directly from the animals. And so there's a long, long ancient history and natural science of how we have always been interconnected with the animal kingdom and nature. And what our conversations are really going to, lead towards is just remembering that ancient wisdom. Because even though the modern science has forgotten that animals are totally telepathic, and what I discovered as a pioneer in holistic dog training was that most behaviors, they don't form because it's just a behavior issue. It's often a body issue. And so the body being out of alignment, the tissue being traumatized or compressed actually is what slows down the energy system. And then we will see a behavior issue or we will see a health issue. We will be looking at and talking about how traumas affect bodies, our human bodies and their animal bodies. And just a simple fact that we're all mammals. We're all mammals. So we all have emotions. We all have thoughts. We all have the physical aspect, of any kind of trauma or play or having fun. And there's also a spiritual component to our relationship with our animals that, there's a lot of people out there that find it easier to connect with their animals than they do with humans. And so there's also a lot of humans out there that aren't having children that have animals. So the animals become their children. And it's a very, very powerful, very sacred bond. And there's no judgment there. People that have animals or people that have kids, kids are also an extraordinarily sacred journey, you know? But the animals often have wisdoms at younger ages than a lot of kids do. And that's no way, shape, or form putting kids down. I love little kids because they tell the truth. We will often get embarrassed by certain things they say, or, we'll feel awkward. But I always just say, little kids and little animals, they're so similar in their nervous systems. And that's not putting down kids, and that's also not putting down animals. So our conversations are really going to run the gamut, between remembering what our connections were as little children with our animals, and sometimes too, even how an animal young in life affected a lot of my guests' journeys, and their connection to those animals and how those animals have supported them along their journey. I really do think any office in the world should have animals that can come and hang out. My take. But I also do believe, and I believe this not because I was taught it from a book. I believed it because I've learned it through thousands of communication and body alignment sessions and behavior training sessions, and just listening, to what the dogs have taught me about themselves and their humans, listening to what the horses have come forth and showed me. That again, it's not in the books. What cats have bestowed, the wisdom that the cats helped me remember. But all in all, it's just really been this incredible journey with myself, with my clients, with my students, of literally remembering that we do live in a sacred hoop that includes all life. No one is excluded. And in this unified energy field that we all live in, there's no separation. We might be in different bodies, but at the consciousness level, and I have been shocked over the years in listening to the animals, the level of consciousness and awareness that they hold about themselves, about their humans, about what's going on our planet. And I'm just honored to share that with you and to bring that to the forefront weekly. Because the more that we are able to remember the sacred, the more that we are able to reweave the most fundamental connection that we all share, which actually starts with our breathing. And then that breathing just kind of relaxes our mind to be fully present, to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel seen, to feel heard. It's life-changing. And to remember to remember that the animals are not our enemies, are not our adversaries, are not our predators, which in so many cases they've been made out to be. But they are simply our relatives and our relations. And while the modern science is very interesting of how it can connect certain dots, the natural science that has been around for tens of thousands of years is based on feeling the connection, remembering what your elders and your ancestors have told you about who these animal beings are and the roles that they play on this planet, roles that they play in our lives, and that they are not any less than any of us. God doesn't put humans above any of the other creatures. God doesn't even put a human above a grain of sand. Only humans do that. Everything on this planet, every being is loved unconditionally for exactly who and what it is. And what I have found on this journey with so many of these beings is these animals hold such an exquisite space of compassion. They seem to understand that we humans are struggling and that they are here to help us reach some of our highest levels of enlightenment and understanding that everything is equal. And many years ago, when I was ordained as a priest, we were told to sit, we were sitting in a meditation and we were told to, or we were guided to open ourselves up to what our ministry is. And I didn't even think about it. It just came to me immediately that my ministry is all beings equal, which happened to be my initials at the time. And so I sense that this podcast is part of my ministry of sharing the truth of the animals, not because I read it in a book and not because I was told this is how it works, but from thousands and thousands of conversations with them, from thousands of behavior training sessions, like where they were guiding me through how to unlock certain aspects of their behavior through their body, and then also what they wanted their humans to know to help support their humans. And all of this is going to take place at a very high level of consciousness, but also with a very grounded simplicity. The animals, they don't need a lot of big fancy words for things, and they don't honestly really care if we understand every single and label every single aspect of their body and how this works and how that works. They just care that we have a simple way of working with them to help address behavior issues or body issues or health issues. And just that we come forth from a place of purity and innocence and deepest desire to help them feel better, but also to understand that if we want to get to the root of anything with our animals or address anything, we ask the animal. You know, we've forgotten how highly intelligent and conscious they are. And, my clients come to me a lot of the times after they've spent tens of thousands of dollars with trainers or veterinarians, and there's no answers. And, well, that's why this show is called Ask the Animal Healer, because it's not about asking me personally. I just literally talk with your animals and I ask them. And I remind a lot of my clients too how much wisdom they've already gleaned from their animals. But, so often we're not taught to go ask the animal. So I look forward to this journey. I don't know that I have any expectations I don't know that I have any idea where it's going to go. We're going to start here at this foundational place. And the only thing that I know is that I feel so honored and blessed to have listened all of those years ago and continue to listen to the animals and their science and their understanding of their health and their behaviors and their soul contracts with their humans. I'm so grateful to be just a messenger on their behalf. I wasn't cut out for veterinary medicine and I didn't understand that science, but I really look forward to going on this journey together, because one of the reasons why I love this work so much is I'm constantly learning new things directly from the animals. So I don't have a store of vast, knowledge and school studies behind me. I just ask the animals, and together, with me translating, we get to understand where they're at, what they need, what they're helping themselves with, what they're also helping their humans with. And so every show, I have no idea where it will go. But I know that with every show, we're going to be learning something new, and we're going to be more deeply understanding healing from the energy perspective, from the animal's wisdom, what they have to show us. And I think we're also going to be learning what their awareness as enlightened masters already, what they have to share with us as a humanity and as humans that are continuing to grow more humane on an everyday basis. And I believe that they will be guiding all of this and reminding us of the proper codes of conduct and behavior that all life was meant to participate in and to honor, so that we can get back to the feeling and the energy and the knowing of what living in communion with all life really is, and the joy and the glory of living in heaven on Mother Earth and co-creating that together with deep, profound respect and reverence for all of life. So I feel like that's all that really needs to be shared for right now. I look forward to sharing new episodes with you. I look forward to your questions and comments. I look forward to hearing how did this show touch you? How did it affect you? What questions did it bring up for you? And what aha moments did you have? And what did it make you feel? Did you resonate with it? Like, could you relate? And my only prayer for this podcast is, may it bring us all back together as a family of life. All life is our family. And how can we remember, first and foremost, to start with love for ourselves and allow the enlightened beings that happen to be in animal bodies to remind us how to co-create heaven on Mother Earth here. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. And each episode, I will offer my guests' animal, one of their animals, an in-sync body assessment and foster release session, so that you can keep seeing in real time what the unified field, they call it a theory in science, but what unified field science actually looks like, and unified field healing, working with chi, really, really looks like. And I have nothing up my sleeve. I have nothing to hide behind closed doors about the science. You can see it for yourself in real time. You can decide for yourself. I think you're quite intelligent enough to see and sense what is taking place in an animal as we go through their body alignment, and just help support them along their way, whether they were having a behavior issue or a health issue. So, have our beautiful conversations, and we'll just kind of wrap full circle with a unified field healing. And what's also fascinating about that when we think about quantum entanglements, so even by virtue of you listening to the show or watching the podcast, on video, you and your animal might experience some healing as well. So, thank you for the podcast, in joining us for our unified journey. And please, I'll tell you, like when I grew up, if somebody told me this when I was 15, oh, by the way, you're going to heal animals over distances of like thousands of miles away. And I'd have been like, get off the crack pipe, buddy, or stop drinking. So the fact that I wasn't able to get into medical school, but I understand how the unified field works and can work with it in real time and be able to share that with you, that turned out to be a bigger gift than I ever imagined possible. And I'm honored to share that with you. And I'm honored to share with you these amazing human beings who I respect and love and trust, and so grateful are in my life, and hopefully in yours too. So thanks again. And please feel free to sign up on my YouTube page. The link's below. There will be teachings and trainings that I offer. So if this is, if you're seeing things on the show and you're like, I want to learn how to do that, I can teach you. And I think it's really, really important. We have no idea right now how the world is going to be shifting or changing. And really, my goal is to empower you to open your heart, to open your mind, to remember your own instincts and what you always knew was truth, especially when it comes to your animals, and to help you remember that you too have these gifts and abilities to work in the chi field of unified energy to help heal the root cause of your animal's behavior and health issues. So, thanks for coming along this journey with me. Thank you for your journey. And let's just build a beautiful community here of animal loving people that adore nature and just hold that as such a high space of respect and reverence in all of our lives. I'll see you on the next episode.